So, got a fun video today. We've got knives all the way from Minnesota. And the best part about it, they're from one of my best friends. So, I've known him for a long time. I think like 20 years now. So, long time. But we're going to get them sharpened, so stay tuned with it. So, gotta have a fun conversation with Jeff and ask him what he wanted out of these knives. So, for this first knife, he just wanted it a nice general purpose and asked me if to put an edge on it that'll last a little bit longer. So, started at 18 to 20, so right at 19, and noticed that his scratch pattern was a little bit more shallow, so he was sharpening a bit more acute, so my guess somewhere in about 15. So, part of the reason why it didn't want to last as long. So, bumped it to the 19, and then I'm putting a nice toothy edge on it. So, I'm going 120, 400, and then stropping. So just looking at that edge, making sure we're all looking good. The scratch pattern's looking good, and I'm liking the work. I criticized my work pretty heavily. But what you'll see me do here is run the blade over the 2x4, which I was watching a video recently of a guy sharpening, and he did that, and very similar to running it over the cork, but just a harder medium. So I thought I'd try it. Not sure if I'm 100% with the results, but at the same time, I might like it better with future testing. But thought it would be a good time to test it and see if it makes my process smoother or harder. But in all honesty, I enjoyed it. So I'm definitely going to be experimenting with it more and seeing what I can do there. And just after a few passes on that leather strop, it gets to be a pretty nice edge. I don't think paper is the best medium for cutting, but at the same time, it allows me to check and make sure, okay, there's no nicks in the blade, and it's consistent. You can feel the drag difference between a 15 degree, a 20 degree, or even a 25-30 degree. It drags differently through the paper, but it gives me a good understanding of, okay, if the edge is at least to my standard. I love taking the hair off my arm, but there's only so much hair that it grows on my arms. So, I paused the camera for a second and adjusted the angle. This is the knife that he built with his dad, which actually, it's pretty comfortable in the hand, I'll give him that. And it's a decently hard steel. So he asked me for this knife if I could put more or less a beater edge on it. So what I did is bumped it up to 25 degrees, and I'm going 120 and then stropping immediately after, because I want a crazy toothy edge. So pretty much like what I'll do with a machete or something along those lines, but still take the hair right off your arm, and it'll be wickedly durable for whatever he throws at it. Just wanted to see if it'd take a little hair off the arm, and it certainly did. I was actually really impressed with that. It was a nice toothy edge, but I was very okay with it. And going through paper, it did actually a halfway decent job. I was impressed with the 25 degree angle that it did. But hey, if it works, it works. Alrighty, and going to the third and final blade, I adjusted the angle back down to 19. And Jeff asked me if I could put a nice, almost like general purpose kitchen edge. So this is what I do with most clients, unless they ask me to do otherwise, is I'll go 19 degrees or 18 to 20, typically, so 19 degrees, and then I'll go 120, 600, and strong. I found that to be a great general purpose kitchen edge. Works great for vegetables, works good for meat. It's just an all-around nice edge from what I've experimented with. If I find that something else works better in the future, I'll do that. But for now, that has been a great edge. So I'd also like to take a moment and say thank you to Jeff and his dad. So when the Work Sharp decided to take a nosedive, I was kind of shopping around and thinking, okay, do I want to get another Work Sharp or do I want to try something else? Which, I'm, in all honesty, glad I went to something else. So I called Jeff, and he was with his dad visiting. So I got to talk to the both of them. And we were processing, okay, what I could do, if it would be beneficial, do I go out and buy another Work Sharp, or do I make a Harbor Freight work? Because the Harbor Freight's a quarter of the cost. So it's kind of a no-brainer, but it was more just, okay, did I want to take the time and modify a 1x30 to be where I want it? And I didn't realize there were half the things that there were for the 1x30s. So did a bit more research and found that this was a great system. Originally, I was going to think of how to put the grinding attachment on the 1x30 motor, but after finding the angle guide and that kind of stuff, I won't ever go back to the Work Sharp because this is just a great system. So with that curve in the blade, you can see that it makes cutting a little bit more difficult, but it's still extremely sharp. So that'll wrap it up for these knives. I think Jeff will be pretty impressed with them. This one was really cool. I'm not sure, he wasn't sure what steel it was either, but took a wild edge, so it'll be curious to see how much abuse it can take. But that's it for today. So, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. If you're not already, consider subscribing. I hope you stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you on the next one.